Hey guys, welcome to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. And I want to make sure that we're going over the top news stories of the day so that you know what to expect as you go throughout your day. Right now, we are waiting for two press conferences across Georgia to begin. And I want to talk to you about what you can expect from each of them. So in one corner, you'll see the press is getting started. Some of our other media outlets are also at the scene. But in that box in the top, you'll hear from a high school student who says that he was tased while riding on the school bus because an officer thought that he didn't belong there. He claims he did. So we're expecting to hear from him as well as two of his attorneys. Also believe that they are civil rights attorneys, so that may play a role in that press conference as we're waiting ahead for it. It's going to take place in Fairburn, right outside the high school that he attends. And then on the bottom side of your screen, you're going to see we are also waiting for a press conference from the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. Yesterday, we were telling you about those inmates who were discovered they had escaped from the jail. We've heard that they have since been captured, but there's still a lot of questions around this. First of all, how do 3 inmates escape prison without being noticed at all? How did they get so far? Where were they captured? When were they captured? How long were they out there among the rest of us? And then again, you know, how were police able and deputies able to figure out where they were? So we're expecting both of those press conferences to begin any minute now. As soon as I see one begin, we'll pop back into it live. But in the meantime, I want to go over some of our top news of the day, starting with a couple of local headlines for you. We're investigating and learning more about a shooting outside a juvenile courthouse. This, of course, happening in downtown Atlanta. So what we know about this is just a few hours ago, there was a huge police presence in the downtown area. This was outside the Fulton County Justice Center, again, in downtown Atlanta. We heard that some officers were responding to a shooting call. And so, of course, they got out there. We saw markers on the ground, which lets us know that there is an investigation going to continue. It may also mean that there are bullets or shell casings on the ground. We also see clothes. I saw gloves. Our photographer said that he saw someone being loaded into an ambulance. So while investigators have not told us just yet if anybody was injured in this incident, again, we did see Grady Medical Services, their ambulance out on the scene, and we did see someone get loaded into that ambulance. Of course, now, like I said, investigators haven't given us that information, so we don't have a suspect's identity, a victim's identity. Fortunately, at this point in time, we're still trying to understand exactly what happened and why, and of all places, why outside of a courthouse. So that's unraveling here in Atlanta. We also heard about a terror plot being foiled. You're looking at the man there on your screen. He's 34-year-old Cholo Abdullah. He's a man from Kenya, and he apparently researched flights as well as Atlanta's tallest skyscraper. Police say that he was intending to plan a 9/11 style aircraft attack, trying to take out as many people as possible. Court records show that he trained as a pilot for Al-Shabaab. He also began training to become a commercial airline pilot, of course, in order to hijack one of those planes and then crash it into a U.S. building. A federal jury has convicted him on 6 terrorism-related counts, and I do want to let you know he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences. But what a story to unfold. I wonder more about how did they find out that this is going to happen. But what we do know, as I mentioned before, he is 34 years old. His name is Cholo Abdullah, and he is from Kenya but was living here and researching Delta flights and, again, Atlanta's tallest skyscraper. So we potentially saved a ton of lives here in our neck of the woods. Another story I want to let you know, this unlocked a whole new fear for me. While trying to arrest a man wanted for violating a restraining order, DeKalb County deputies made a bizarre discovery. You're looking at it there on your screen, but for those of you who are listening in on the radio, they found that the man they were looking for was hiding in the ceiling. And they found him through a hole or some sort of cutout in the ceiling. So let me walk all this back so you know how we got here. The sheriff's office was pounded on the door of a house in Marietta. This all taking place on December 2nd. They said they had a warrant to search the home. When no one answered, they were able to go in. They searched everywhere for this guy. I do want to let you know they knew there was a possibility that he could be armed, that he could go ahead and hurt them, but they were doing their jobs and they had to continue looking throughout the home. Now finally they found some footprints that they said led them to the garage, and then eventually looking up and seeing the garage ceiling, there was a newly cut hole. And so when they looked inside, they found this guy, Jason Black, hiding in the crawl space. Now he was wanted in Doraville for failing to appear in court and for a misdemeanor probation violation, all happening in DeKalb County. And now, because of this, he's also facing a charge for obstruction. Let's head over to Rhode Island. Brown University's security systems are under investigation as we speak. This is all due to the federal government launching an investigation onto campus security there. You may recall not too long ago, actually on December 13th, so just 10 days ago, a gunman opened fire on campus, killing 2 people and hurting 9 others. They say he entered the engineering building and then just open fire. Now, there are a lot of questions focused around whether Brown had security cameras installed on campus where that attack took place. Some students have also complained that it is just way too easy to get inside the buildings on campus, sometimes saying that they leave them unlocked. The Department of Education believes that Brown may not have met appropriate standards, which they say may have been a factor that allowed that mass shooting suspect to flee. Remember, we were looking for that man for days before he was eventually found in a storage unit and had apparently taken his own life. Well, the department could fine or bar schools and federal aid funding if they're found to be in violation of a federal Clery Act, which requires reporting on campus crimes and security, which is why Brown University is under investigation. And in addition to that, I do want to let you know University President Christina Paxson has also decided to replace Rodney Chapman, who was the chief of campus police there. And it is due to, and I quote, serious concerns over the failed leadership, contract violations, and policies that jeopardize public safety, end quote. Chapman, who again used to be the chief of campus police, will be replaced by Hugh T. Clements, the former police chief of the Providence Police Department. And as I see out of the corner of my eye, that press conference in DeKalb County where we learned those 3 inmates have been taken into custody has now just began. So I want to see if we can dip in and let you listen to what everybody is saying.
The swift action of the law enforcement that you see standing here and others. I especially have to give a thank you to our fugitive and field operations unit. We also have standing here the United States Marshal Service, Marshal Thomas Brown of the Northern District of Georgia. His team include Eric Hines, Acting Chief for the Southeast Regional Task Force and the South Florida Caribbean Regional Task Force. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of our DeKalb County Police Department Chief of Police, Chief Pedrick, our community partners who reached out during this time, Clayton County Sheriff Levon Allen and Fulton County Sheriff Labatt, who reached out to assist, to ask what was needed. They asked because their concern was for their community as well, because what happens in one community can surely happen in another. And one of the things that I made sure that on December the 1st of 2019, I made a vow. I made a vow to protect the citizens of DeKalb County. I made a vow and I stuck to it. I'm going to continue to stick to it. This will not be tolerated. We're going to continue to fight and make sure that our family, friends, and loved ones are safe, and that people know that they can come into DeKalb County and enjoy, live, work, and play. As I announced when we began the process of trying to recapture these 3 inmates who escaped from this jail on Sunday night, my primary focus is to make sure that you all know that DeKalb County Jail is secure. This is a breach. We're not going to sit here and go back and forth and point blame. We're going to focus on what can we do to stop it from happening in the future. We're going to be asking for things to assist us with this aging facility that's deteriorating right before our eyes. We're going to look at improvements that are needed here. We know that it's going to cost money. We know what it costs. But we either pay now or it's going to be a payment later. So I want to thank all of you all for coming out. To the media, I say thank you because you all did put it out there. Oftentimes we don't want to say thank you to the media, but I will say thank you because you all put it out there. And you let them know that we are looking and we're not going to stop. My team and I have not slept. We've rested, but we have not slept. And we don't sleep when things of this nature happen. These are one of many incidents probably has taken place throughout the world of escapes from jails and prisons. But here at the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, we jumped into action immediately, and we didn't stop until these individuals were brought back to custody and that our streets are safe so that our children can go out and enjoy the holidays, enjoy their gifts, so our family members can enjoy other family members. So I want to turn this over to my chief, Chief Atkins, who will be able to give more information as it entails in regards to what took place on Sunday night.
Good morning. The reason we're here today is due to the escape from the DeKalb County Jail. In talking about that escape, what I'll start with is the individuals that left our facility. Stevenson Charles, age 24, charged with murder and armed robbery in DeKalb County. He was here in our facility under a felony life sentence for murder through the federal system. Yusuf Minor, age 31, charged with 2 counts of armed robbery and 2 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony in DeKalb County, also here under sentence from the state system. Noad Johannes, age 25, charged with simple assault, arson, and unlawful acts of violence in a penal institution. Those are the reasons that we're here today, because these gentlemen chose to try to escape or effected an escape from our facility. I'm going to turn it over to Marshal Brown, who will tell you about the ongoing investigation and the tracking down of these individuals. Marshal Brown.
Thank you. If I can get my paperwork here in some kind of order. The United States Marshal Service immediately came to the assistance of the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, who is one of our strongest partners, when we were contacted to help them locate this individual. Because there is a member of the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Williams, on that task force, it was very easy for him to put the file together and present it to I'm sorry, I just drew a senior moment. Chief Hines dares to approve those folders and start this in action. Now, this was 2 separate federal task forces that we had operating. Because Stevenson was a federal inmate that had escaped, then the U.S. Marshal Service took the lead on finding and apprehending him. That particular task laid at the hands of Chief John Stevens, who works in the district office, and the group of task force members that are located in my office. The other 2 individuals, who are state actors, became the charge of the Southeast Regional Task Force under the command of Regional Chief Hines, and so we work parallel together. As long as the 3 inmates remain together, and we had information to suggest that they were, and I will talk about that later, then those 2 task forces will continue to work together for that one effort. But at any time, if Stevenson had broke away from that group, then it would have become on Chief Stevens, who would be the incident commander on tracking Stevenson down. He was our main target. That's who we was focused on, and Chief Hines, working with the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office task force, will concentrate on the other 2. At around 11 p.m., information from the DeKalb County recorded inmate lines when they determined that these individual was gone, led them to an individual who had made contact or was contacted by Stevenson to meet them outside the jail at a location when they facilitated this escape. That was done, and yes, that was done successfully, and they were picked up by a gentleman, you'll find that in the report later. This thing gets very voluminous. So they were picked up and they was taken to the girlfriend's house of inmate minor. Inmate minor's girlfriend then contacted a Lyft to pick up the 3 inmates and transport them to an address in Florida. That took place. We were able to, using the intelligence of the Marshal Service, track that movement. No need to talk about how and what we use, just we're the U.S. Marshals and we have ways to track. And so we tracked them all the way to Florida and made the arrests in the metropolitan Miami area. Those individuals were picked up there without incident. As you can imagine, the Lyft driver is very traumatized by this. She's being interviewed by the FBI for additional kidnap charges as well as other things of that nature. So the system worked the way it's supposed to work. It would not work this well had it not been for the great relationship and partnership that we have with local law enforcement partners, state law enforcement partners, as well as our federal partners as well. So that's it in a nutshell, and as we take questions, at least from my end, please understand this investigation is ongoing. We want to make sure that the U.S. Attorney, as it relates to Stevenson, has an airtight case, and so you're going to get a lot of, I can't answer that question for you as we go through this motion. So with that, I turn it back over to Chief of the DeKalb County Jail.
Thank you, sir. We will entertain questions at this time.
Can you tell us exactly how these inmates were able to get outside of the jail building itself?
Okay. First, let's start by saying that we operate a 30-plus-year-old facility. And as with the building of such, some of the infrastructure can be compromised with effort by the inmates. That being the case in this instance, we would not like to be more specific as not to give out the person's ideas of how to further compromise this building. But we're making some adjustments, being assisted by the county to shore up the infrastructure and to make adjustment with our policies regarding to this incident.
Chief Maddox mentioned some changes.
That's Sheriff Maddox.
Yes, excuse me, Sheriff Maddox mentioned some changes that you'd like to make. By the way, can you tell us exactly like what you're looking to change about the infrastructure of the jail without giving away how these inmates are able to get out?
To be honest, at this time, we're not discussing those things because we're ongoing, doing those evaluations and making sure that we're doing a comprehensive job in regards to that.
Can you clarify, Marshall did talk about that there was a phone call. So are we saying that one of the inmates called someone to pick them up and coordinate with the girlfriend of one of the other suspects? Can you explain that again, how that worked and how you were able to, I guess, monitor the phone call, and that's how you knew this was going on?
Okay, if you're familiar with the jail environment, all of our phone calls between inmates and citizens is recorded. So we utilized our internal intelligence unit to start to review calls that would have been made by those particular inmates or just calls that were made out of that particular pod, which is a normal standard operating procedure.
DeKalb County just opened up the new real-time crime center. Did that play a role in this search? If it did, was it an effective role?
In this particular instance, the components of having the U.S. Marshals involved, it didn't, necessitate us using the real-time communication center. So we didn't utilize it this time, but we expect in the near future, in any incident that we have, we'll be using it. But the fact that our federal partners needed to be brought into this, it was more along the operation of the federal partners and us.
What was the clue that the infrastructure was compromised? Was this based on when you're looking to see how they got out, or was it based on, say, listening to the phone calls? Was this something that you were somewhat aware of and someone picked at it and was able to get out? I mean, what are we talking? When were you aware that this particular piece of infrastructure was compromised?
It was discovered when our officer was doing his feeding times. So once he entered the cell and did his preliminary check, he was able to discover that a portion of the cell had been compromised. We subsequently started to do our investigation at that time.
Chief, can you explain the timeline for us? So you guys figured out that these 3 men were missing sometime overnight, but when did you actually notify the public? Because, I know different news outlets were calling to say, hey, can you confirm this? And do you believe the fact that the public was not made aware earlier that it could have put people in danger?
It's our assertion that the public was made aware as soon as we were made aware. Now we had probably a small amount of time where we had to assess what we actually had. You just can't go out there and start to sound the alarm without figuring out what you have. The difference between the time that they exited the facility and the time that we got onto it, there was some distance in between there because of the activities that were going on. If you know about a jail, we executed one activity, then we come back several hours later and do our next round. So that's the distance that people may think that we didn't notify anybody, but you have to understand that there's not an omnipresence in that cell. So that's the gap there. Then once we realized in that amount of time that they were out or that they subsequently were missing, then we had to figure out if they were still in the building somewhere, and then figure out, once we figured out they had exited the building, then that's when we went forward with alerting the public.
So how long was that gap though?
All right, so you guys have been listening in to this press conference happening, I believe, outside the DeKalb County jail. We're hearing from the sheriff. We're also hearing from other officials, even the chief deputy there, about what happened, how these 3 inmates were able to escape. Some of the things that I took away from it, they say that at about 11 p.m. they got a tip from someone who says that they were called to meet these inmates. They assisted somehow in some way, shape, or form with their escape. We heard that from outside of the jail, they were able to get into someone's car. They made it to, I believe they said it was the inmate's name, Yusuf Minor. They made it to his girlfriend's home, and from there, she called a lift for the rest of them to get away. And then eventually these 3 made their way to Florida, and that is where they were ultimately captured. So that is what we have been hearing now. I also heard from some of the jail officials say that there are going to be some changes made to the jail because they don't want something like this to happen again. Whatever way they were able to make it outside, they want to make sure that can never happen again. Now, I do want to let you know we won't be able to listen all the way into it, but that other press conference that I was telling you about where a student says that he was tased while on a school bus, this happening in Fairburn. Lanier Johnson Hunt says that he was riding a Fulton County school bus when an officer said that he wasn't supposed to be on that bus, and then went ahead and they had a little tussle, and then he tased him. Earlier in that press conference, I was watching it while we were watching this other one happening in DeKalb County. He pulled his polo down. That's the young man that you see there behind the attorney who's speaking. He pulled his polo down, and you could see scarring all across his neck and throat area. We have been rolling on this, so later on throughout the day, we'll be able to play this back for you so you can hear what it is we missed. First thing you're looking at there on your screen is Harry Daniels. He is a civil rights attorney who is representing that young man, and it looks like he is about to take the podium. Let me take a minute or two to just hear what he has to say.
I know, it was just like a normal day at school. I was just trying to get home, get on the bus. And as soon as I get on the bus driver told me that I was supposed to be on the bus. And today she gonna make sure I'm gonna get off the bus, so don't even sit down. So once I sit down, she pulled up to the administrators. And the administrators get on the bus. And they automatically thought I was on the wrong bus. When she told them my name, they got on the bus and just told me to get off the bus. At first I refused, and then when I was refusing, they said if I don't get off the bus, all the students have to get off the bus. So once all the students got up off the bus, I got off the bus with the students. And then as soon as we all get off the bus, they didn't check nobody's names. They just told everybody to get back on the bus. as I get back on the bus, they told me to get off, and that's when they called the officers. When I sit down, the officers had came on the bus. They asked who was the student they was talking about. And the bus driver had pointed me out. They came back. They asked me to get off the bus. I had refused and told them this. Well, I was trying to tell them this is my bus, but the students was telling them that this is my correct bus. All the students on the bus was telling them this was my correct bus. Then, out of nowhere, one of the officers had said, if you don't get up and get off the bus or we're going to tase you. I said, I still refused to get off the bus, and that's when they tried to pull me and grab me. And when I got back up, when I had got back up, he had choked me, tried to choke me, then he tased me. And when he tased me, I had got up. I was still, I don't know, my adrenaline was just rushing. And I just know that he tried to tase me again while I was getting off the bus. I jumped off the bus. And when I was off the bus, they put me in some handcuffs, and the officer who tased me had started slapping me while my hands was in the handcuffs. He was slapping me, then he tried to tase me again while my hands was in the handcuffs. That's when the administrators came back outside and tried to break it up, but he was already in the midst of slapping me. And when they broke it up, he was still running towards me. He was still trying to attack me while my hands was in handcuffs. He was trying to push against the administrators who was holding him back every time he seen me. When I was in a room with the other officers after this situation, when he seen me, he tried to attack me again. They had to pull him back and pull him away to cool down. But when I was in the back room, they called the EMS. EMS had checked me out and told them that I needed to go to Grady. And they said, no, I'm not going to Grady, I'm going to Rice Street. But the EMS told them, even if I go to Rice Street, I'm gonna still have to go to Grady first. So they volunteered, the officers volunteered to take me to Grady, and I did not go to Grady that whole day. I went straight to a police station, and they held me in the police station until they had gave me a ticket and sent me back home to my mother.
All right, so like I said, we want to put this in context.
All right, so again, you were listening to Lanier talk himself about what happened to him that day on the bus. I was looking at our live stream on TikTok, and I see some comments coming in. Someone said that, of course, this happened. He was resisting. Another person said he wasn't complying. I do want to let you know, even though he didn't say it there on screen, what we were told, the media was told, is that Lanier refused to get off the bus because he said he had to make it home to his little brother, who is on the spectrum, who would have otherwise been home alone. And so that's why he says that he didn't get off the bus. I don't know if that makes a difference to anybody who is streaming, but I wanted to give you some fuller context. So that press conference, as well as the one happening in DeKalb County, are going to continue, but we do have more news of the day that we have to get you to. So, coming back to me in studio, when we come back, we'll be talking about this holiday travel, because we're just 2 days away from Christmas. So many people, millions of people, are going to be coming into town. So we'll be having an interview shortly about basically how to beat that holiday rush, how to make sure that you get home peacefully in order to join the holiday. We'll have that in just a second. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. Again, we are just 2 days away from Christmas and a couple of days away from the new year. A lot of people are trying to travel back and forth. A lot of people coming into our neck of the woods. I want to get you a live look out at Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta's airport, the busiest airport in the world, where we know tons of people will be making their way through. So earlier this morning, I checked in on how many delays and how many cancellations we were looking at. There were 66 as of 9 a.m. and then just two cancellations at 9 a.m. Now we are at 11:30. There are 112 current delays and there are still just two cancellations. So it's not that bad in our neck of the woods. But I want to switch gears and head out to Chelsea Torres, representing Fox News. Chelsea, I understand that it's not this easy for everyone and that millions of people will be making their way around the world. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, Judea, I mean, here a lot of people have really told me that it's actually been pretty smooth so far going through the airport. I will tell you, I've seen a few people kind of running to their gates, and I've seen a lot of parents chasing kids, but overall, fairly smooth. Now, AAA says that this holiday mix is going to be getaways, tropical getaways, family road trips, and even people going to see friends. One mom says, although money has been a little tight this year, she does believe that a lot of families are going to be getting out this holiday season.
That the economy has been challenging for many, so it's been difficult to make plans and to do things, but somehow, you know, we try to make a way. We're going to go see some friends, have some fun in the sun, and we're going to take a trip to Disney.
Adelaide and her three girls are going to America's top holiday spot, according to AAA, Orlando, Florida. 3 of Florida's sunny cities rank as the top domestic places to be for the holidays: Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, and Miami. However, nearly 90% of Americans traveling for the holidays are hitting the road instead of flying. Gas Buddy says gas prices are the lowest in 5 years, and some families tell me road traffic has been a breeze so far.
Traveled over here, rented a car, and drove around West Virginia, and now we're back. And then Christmas we like to spend at home because we have all the grandparents, aunts, and uncles, so they want all the kids at home.
Please maintain control of your personal. Okay, so if you still have to do some traveling in the next couple of weeks, or I should say next week, then really it's good news for you, because the best times to travel during the holiday season is on the holiday itself. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. A lot of travel experts are saying the next busiest travel day will be the day after Christmas. Judea?
Goodness gracious. And Chelsea, I realized that I don't think I told everybody where you are. You are reporting for us live from D.C., is it?
I am, yes. I'm here at Reagan National Airport. So it was actually very busy this morning. It's kind of died down, and I've learned, Judea, being in and out of airports, a good time to fly is between that 10 a.m. and noon time. So you see it's very slow here, so just know that for a good tip, I guess, moving forward.
Okay, you said 10 a.m., noon, and the best days to travel are on the holiday itself. Okay, somebody out there hopefully listening, and maybe they've got their ticket in between those times. Or if not, you guys just head out early.
Hopefully.
Yeah, just head out early. So Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us here. We are going to keep the ball rolling with some of our bigger stories as well. While we're talking about the holidays, I do want to switch gears. Out in Dunwoody, it is last call for one holiday art fair. It's the last day to check out the Sproul Art Gallery, happening now. And so our Chris Rosenthal went to check it out for you. Chris, in case some people listening out there, you know, they still have to do their last minute holiday shopping, are you seeing anything that would look good underneath your tree?
Yeah, you know, actually one of the big things they have here are tree ornaments. So yeah, and this is the last day you can come out to the Holiday Art Gallery here at the or the Holiday Art Fair at the Sproul Gallery. This is off Ashford Dunwoody Road. I don't know about you, but I've driven by this a million times, never actually been in here. But I'm with this is Athea King. She is with the gallery here, and this is normally a gallery. This room.
Yes, the front half of the house is normally a gallery exhibition space where we bring in Georgia artists to show their work.
But now it is, you know, up till today, this is an arts fair, and you can come out until 6 o'clock and buy local artisans, you know,
the work
crafts.
that they've created. This is the 32nd year that we're doing a holiday art fair here at the Sproul Gallery. So we have work by students and instructors from the the Sproul Center of the Arts, as well as a lot of new artisans that we've brought in this year.
And most popular thing is ornaments, huh?
Ornaments, yes. We sell them every day, and people come in and ask if we have ornaments here, and we still have a lot of ornaments that are all handmade by artists.
And we have some unique ones. You're telling me a little bit about the story behind these here.
Yes, we have some beautiful fused glass ornaments, and these in particular were made by an artist, Beth Sachs. And what's extra special about Beth, besides being on our board and helping to put on the holiday art fair every year, is this was actually her grandparents' house. They lived here.
Oh, wow.
So it has a very special tie-in for her, and she keeps those roots strong.
What does this mean to the local artists to have a place to sell their goods and their crafts here?
It means a lot to them. We have a lot of artists from the Sproul Center, as well as other artists that we found out in the community, where this is the first time they've ever shown their work publicly, and they're so excited to have the opportunity to be able to do that.
And let's come into this room. It's not just Christmas stuff. You can buy stuff that's good for any time of year.
We have gifts as well, ceramics that are made by artists, as well as jewelry, glass, bath products that are all handmade. So there's a lot of special things here for stocking stuffers, as well as a big, beautiful gift for someone that you love.
This is, you guys have been doing this over 30 years. This has been one of the biggest and most popular, huh?
It is. We have people that come in just for the holiday art fair every year. And they've been letting us know they have to come back and see us during the regular year too, when we have just a regular shop in the back portion of the house. That's not a gallery space.
These are some pretty unique things here too.
Yes, these are wonderful. This work is all by Regina Wolf. She's an instructor at the Sproul Center for the Arts, and she's shown her work here with us for years. She actually has a local collector space that comes in and is always loves seeing her new creations. They're very whimsical, colorful, fun, and full of life.
And the artists, they get a commission from this.
Oh yes, definitely. All of the artists' work is on consignment here.
Awesome, awesome. And so, again, if people want to come out, where should they come, and when do they have until?
They have until 6 p.m. tonight to come do their last-minute Christmas shopping. After that, you can see us after January 13th, when we open back up to the public with our regular exhibitions and shop.
And parking right in the back, right. There's some designated parking spots right by the Fogo de Chao, right in the back there.
Yes, there are.
So.
Chris, this is all so beautiful. I've been making note of some of the best things that I saw, because I do still have to get a couple of stocking stuffers, and I'm also doing reindeer games this holiday season, so I have to get some prizes. So I heard the ornaments are very popular. I also heard her say that jewelry, bath products, those kinds of things make really good stocking stuffers. And then one thing that I just saw that I absolutely loved, the pet portraits. You know, there's somebody out there who is obsessed with their fur baby, and that is like the perfect gift to get them. It's so cute.
Oh yeah, definitely, absolutely. Animals are always popular, so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for showing us around the holiday art fair. I understand that today is the last day if you want to get it in before Christmas. 6 p.m. I believe was the time that she said. Is that right?
That's right. Yep, 6 p.m.
All right, 6 p.m. to get out there. If you guys do miss it, don't worry. They will be open for other shopping pretty soon. All right, coming up, buckle up and get ready, because a major traffic safety movement is coming to College Park. We're going to talk to an investigator about what we should all know before we get behind the wheel again, because this is very important. So you guys don't go anywhere. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray, and I'm joined with a very special guest.
Yes.
This is Major Marcus Denard. First of all, thank you so much for joining us, representing the College Park Police Department, right?
Yes.
Okay, so pretty cool, amazing thing that's happening. You guys won a highway safety grant, almost $50,000 worth, is that right?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Okay, so when someone like me hears highway safety grant, the very first thing I think of, tickets. But that's not necessarily what this is.
That's not necessarily true. It actually focuses on our enforcement as well as our community engagement.
Okay.
Yes.
So talk to me a little bit more about how that would work. What will it look like? What are you planning on doing with the money?
Well, basically those funds would allow us to enhance our enforcement efforts through focusing on things like seatbelts, speeding, distracted driver, those things that actually sometimes cause our citizens to get in, lose lives or things of that nature.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk a little bit about that distracted driving. Unfortunately, it tends to be younger folks like myself.
Yes, when we talk about distracted driving, we're talking about cell phones in hand, things of that nature. People just being distracted while driving, that's a big issue these days. It leads to a lot of accidents as well as loss of lives. So we're trying to use this grant to enhance that, our enforcement efforts to actually save lives.
Okay. And when you guys found out that you were going to get this grant, what was that like? Was there a ceremony? What happened?
Well, it happened so suddenly. Investigator Hall, who was actually in our traffic unit, she was so excited. I got excited about it because we had been applied for it. And then once we heard back from it, we were like, oh man, it's here. And so we're very happy at the City of College Park to get this grant.
Well, congratulations to you all. I know this is very important to what you're trying to do out there and make sure the roads are a lot safer for all of us.
Yes, we're just trying to engage the community and focus on educating the community how important it is to practice safe driving practices and things of that nature. So this grant actually allows us to actually do that.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, for anybody who is out there watching with us right now, of course, things will start to happen once you guys put the money into play. But what's something that we could all do today, right before the holidays, just make sure we're a little safer?
Great question. With the holidays coming, please stay off your phones while you're driving. Slow down, because traffic is actually very hectic during these times. So just slow down and pay attention. Don't get distracted, and let's save a life these holidays.
Amen. That text can wait, you guys. It's not that important.
Yes,
it's not that important. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Before I let you go, I always like to give my interviewees the final word. Is there one thing that you want people to know, whether it's about the holidays or just about the College Park Police Department itself? Anything?
Well, here at the College Park Police Department, we are committed to saving lives and educating lives on how to save a life. So have a safe holidays, drive safe, slow down, put your phone down, slow down and put your phone down. Let's save a life.
Yeah. We all want to get to our destination safely, you guys. All right. Thank you so much for this conversation. We're going to continue talking about safety coming up. We have a conversation coming up about AI and finances. And so we'll get to that in just a second.
Sounds good.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. This is no news to anyone. AI is becoming so popular these days, especially in the finance space. A lot of people are asking questions, but we're learning that even asking a simple question like, what should I do with my 401k can put you in harm's way. And so joining me now is Andy Sandman-Dam, from the CEO of Clarib. And I want to give him an opportunity to talk to us a little more about this. First of all, welcome to Fox Local. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So my first question for you, more people are turning to AI for things like budgeting, investing, their 401ks, as I was mentioning before. But what's happening behind the scenes when somebody asks a question or types that next thing into the search box?
Yeah, so when you think about AI, right, you got to understand how AI is actually being used. AI, relies on large data sets, right? So it starts with massive amounts of data, text, images, audio, video, all these things. So AI needs lots of information to train itself so that it can give better answers and better information. So a lot of these financial advisors, they are actually starting to use AI. So even if you're having a call with your financial advisor, or if you're asking a question to ChatGPT, you got to be careful what you're asking, because you don't want to put personal information online. You don't want to say things that you would later regret. So it's really using caution is the first step, I would say. But behind the scenes, training is a major part of AI algorithms. So there's something called neural networks that actually relies on some of the training from the data sets that are used earlier on. So it's almost like, imagine teaching a child, right? So you show multiple pictures of cats or dogs, then ultimately the child knows it is a cat or it is a dog. So AI is something similar. So when you have lots of information about a certain type of data, then AI learns. So you got to be careful what data you're sharing, and that's how AI is working.
Okay, Andy, let's take a step back so we can really understand this here. Even you mentioned you are training that tool. So even those small things, you think you're not giving out any personal information, but even those things could put you in harm's way. Am I getting that right?
Yes, even those things. Like, I'll give a good example, right? So imagine you're having a conversation with your a financial advisor. So the client meetings themselves, it could be happening on a Zoom, it could be happening on Google Meet. There are tools out there that are actually recording the whole conversation. We call them AI companions or AI note takers. So anything you could be saying on a call is actually being recorded to be used to train that model later on. You could be sending an email to your financial advisor. And you got to be careful what you're saying in the email, because now there are actually tools out there that could draft a response that financial planners are using that'll come back to you completely auto-drafted. They don't even have to put a prompt. It's automatically drafting a response based on the content of the email. So if you're sending an email, don't put in your tax return on the email. Don't put in your social security number. Don't put in your credit card information. Just be careful, because that information is actually being fed into AI.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, take it even a step further. We hear from companies all the time. They say on their website, we don't sell your information, we don't sell your data, but apparently that's misleading. How is that misleading when it comes to something like AI?
Yeah, so it is misleading, because if you go any site online these days, right, you would see a little pop-up on the bottom that says cookies, right? So we track your information using cookies. You're saying yes or no. You're saying accept all cookies or accept only required cookies and things like that. That banner that you see, that's only limited to the cookies that's placed on a browser. That doesn't talk about AI. So AI is something that's behind the scenes, that's working always in these large companies. So all the information you are sharing is automatically going to AI in many cases if they are using such tools. So imagine a large document, right? So if you're looking at tax planning, if you're looking at analyzing your documents and things like that, they are actually feeding the entire tax return to an AI model to understand how they can advise you, where to invest. Do you put money in a Roth IRA or not? Things like that. So you got to be careful on what you're sharing with your financial advisors and planners, and ask the question. When in doubt, simply ask question, hey, are you sharing this data with AI? Is this, do I give consent for that? If you don't have consent, then they're not supposed to be sharing this information with AI.
That is interesting to me because I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what is right. I mean, we're coming to the expert, so you think that whatever they tell you, whatever they ask you, whatever you're talking about in that chat should be what's happening, but that's not necessarily the case. Thank you for empowering us to ask the questions, make sure that we are safeguarded. I think that was really important.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what we advise our clients. Even large companies we work with, also even smaller individual, medium-sized companies we work with, we always ask them to get consent from people and use for the purpose they gave consent for. Just don't use it everywhere, because you have privacy laws across multiple states. There are almost 20 different states in the United States that have their own privacy laws, and it's really, you want to make sure that you are actually having consent before you use the data.
Got it. This is starting to make more sense to me as I ask you more questions. So thank you for being patient with me as I'm trying to, understand this with our audience. I understand too that sometimes talking to these AI tools, when you're trying to understand your finances and what's going on in your pocket and your wallet, you were kind of giving scammers a blueprint to you and your information. So talk to me a little bit more about what they can do. And we've been talking on our stream about deep fakes and stuff like that. So how does that all mix in together?
Yeah, so, common sense, right? So when you talk to AI or when you talk to your financial planner that is using AI, you don't want to be giving out your, let's say, password to your bank account. You don't want to be giving out your tax ID or a social security number. Those are common sense things you want to, make sure that you are careful about this. And also sometimes your voice could be used again, as a deep fake. Your video is being used as a deep fake. So you got to be careful where you post, what you're posting, and what you're actually saying to some of these models. A common sense thing you can do is just ask generic questions, right? So if you have a question about what kind of deductions you can take on a particular state level or a state law, ask generic questions rather than giving that, hey, I live in Georgia, or I live in Atlanta, and I live at this address, and what is the county tax? Rather, you simply ask a generic question around what is the deductions allowed in 2024 tax year or something like that.
Oh, you saying tax year just made me think, taxes are coming up. A lot of people do use AI, and I hope that no one is using it to help them, with their taxes, but that could also be an issue too that we see coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, that could be an issue too coming up pretty soon. And also, if you're thinking about financial planning, right? So a lot of companies use blog posts and articles if they want to create a copy for the website. If you're a small business owner, if you want to drive more traffic, and if you want to have a good blog post, it's okay to use AI because it's going to make your job a lot faster and easier. You're able to get the copy done, and you're able to get the blog post and drive more traffic. But then don't want to be putting in personal information there.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for joining me, for giving me more insight on this topic, and for walking our audience through this as well. This is very important, especially right before the holidays. Like I said, right before taxes. AI is not going anywhere. Most of us aren't going to stop using it. So it is important that we know how to do it safely. Thank you so much. This has been Andy Sam Van Dam visiting with us, the CEO of ClearUp, and no problem. Of course, we wanted to have you. With that being said, I'm looking at our time now. It's 11:57. Thank you so much for joining us here in the 11 o'clock hour as we talk to you about your top news of the day. We're able to show you a couple of things happening right around here, but I do want to let you know the news continues at noon, so don't go anywhere.
school student who was tased by a Fulton County school police officer speaks publicly for the first time. Hear what he had to say. Plus, you might want to get some hand sanitizer and a box of tissue and add it to your Christmas list because flu cases are on the rise. We have a live report on what's making this seasonal surge so concerning. Jonathan?
The coast is clear here in Georgia, but there are problems up the I-95 corridor that could make travel a bit iffy. I'm tracking that next in my Fox 5 swimming forecast.
Fox 5 News at noon starts right now.
In the past hour, a high school student spoke publicly for the first time after video surfaced showing a Fulton County Schools police officer tasing him repeatedly. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Alex Whitler. Lanier Johnson.